Sure. I'm Arne Meyer. I'm the community strategist at Naughty Dog. Sure. The story really is about Ellie and Joel and how the relationship builds and sort of how their personalities contrast and how they bond over their journey as they travel west. Because Joel has taken this job to smuggle Ellie outside of the quarantine zone and deliver her to the Fireflies, an opposition faction that doesn't believe to live under the rule of the military in the quarantine zone. So that's how they meet, and that's what keeps propelling their journey west. Is that Joel, wants to deliver Ellie to the Fireflies? Is really sort of what happens. And just all of these things keep going wrong, so that it's not something where you can just drop her off, because the game would be really short if that happened anyway. But that's sort of why the journey keeps propelling, and so. Really, for us, the focus about that is the personalities of Joel and Ellie and their original personalities. Joel is a survivor of the fungal infection. He's known the world before. He's lost everything. He's lost his life, the previous life he had. He's lost friends. He's lost family. So it's taken him to a really dark place. There aren't things as right or wrong for him, or good or bad. It's just sort of, am I willing to do this to survive, or am I not willing to do it? What are the repercussions or consequences of that? So he'll pretty much stop at nothing. He's done some very terrible things, both as working in the black market and to be able to survive. Ellie, is like a complete different contrast. She's only known the world after the infection. She's 14 years old. She's an orphan. She doesn't know. She really hasn't had anybody to rely on, and she doesn't have. She's learned to only rely on herself. She's very capable and independent. So she looks at the world that Joel used to live in with a sense of wonderment and curiosity. She can't imagine what it's like. It's almost a feeling of nostalgia for something that she doesn't know. She doesn't know what the world outside the quarantine zone is. So like nature, trees, the forest. That's all incredible for her, because these are things she's only seen in pictures. So it's almost like, imagine when you look at a vacation spot and you've only seen how wonderful it is, and you actually go there, and you sort of feel something. That's what she feels all the time when she's outside the quarantine zone. So there are these two contrasting perspectives on the world, two contrasting personalities. Joel really just wants to finish the job, give Ellie off, get his payout. Ellie, she can't rely on anybody. She's never had to, so she doesn't quite trust Joel. She doesn't know if Joel, is really looking out for her safety or her survival or her best interests. And over time, they start to, they learn to start working together, and it starts building their bond, their relationship. They're starting to trust each other some more. And so that's really the interesting part about, what our story is. I think really a lot of it is in service of trying to create a situation where humans are driven to their limits. They're driven to be desperate in terms of the choices they make to try to survive. If you destroy civilization, if you get rid of infrastructure, if you get rid of manufacture, if supplies are scarce, then you're introducing a concept of what are you willing to do to get a supply that's necessary for your survival or for your well-being. And then it's like, how do we create a fictional condition so that people are driven to that. People are driven to make these interesting choices, and that's sort of where the fungal infection comes from. That it's such infected humans, and that this infection is such a terrible threat to you. It's such a lethal threat to you that people are forced to make interesting choices. That people feel safety in living under martial law, or people are willing to kill other people just for food or shoes. So for us, it was creating the setting of where people are pushed to their limits. It exists. We haven't talked about multiplayer a lot. I know, there's a lot of interest in it. For us, this is our first game in a new setting, new IP, and we haven't done that in a while. And so it's really important for us to establish the fiction of the universe, the setting, both the setting for the fiction, for the characters, also for what the environment is like, what the gameplay is like. So we've been focusing on talking about that, because it's like once we have that established, we can start talking about the multiplayer a little bit more and how that fits into the world that we've created. We'll talk about it soon. We'll reveal a bit more. As a tease, sort of. I think that we're doing something that integrates very well into the setting, the fiction of the world that we have, and we're trying to do some interesting things that are relatively unique in the console space. So hopefully soon you'll know what that means. We've been working on the PS3 version so long. That's really been our focus. We haven't really had experience with the hardware or anything, so we don't know what to do. We really wanted just to get this out the door. We started working on it 3.5 years ago. There was no such thing as next gen. Somewhere it was probably, but for us, that wasn't even a consideration. So, we like working on the PS3. We've been able to get a lot of power and sort of really great engine off of it. So that's where our focus lies. I think once we take a break, we can see what the future lies for us. But that's as far as we've planned. Who knows? One would hope.
Let's hope so.
Yeah, I think everyone would hope. If it's successful enough, if our fans really have interest in it, we'd like to have at least the opportunity to explore that as an option. But everything has to come together, and so once the game launches, we can explore that. We're always going to say we invested a lot of time and resources in creating this great fictional universe. It'd be great to explore it further. So we hope so.